So in this video, we're going to really quickly show you how to add your first calculator. There's a couple ways of doing it. You can either start from a template or you can create it from scratch. Let's start it from a template, then we'll show you how to create it from scratch. So go ahead and click the Find Templates button or click Templates in the left-hand navigator. From here, we can just find a template that we want to actually install and simply click the Install button. You can always preview any one of these templates by clicking Preview, and of course, you'll see it live on a Shopify store. Let's install the curtains template by clicking Install Template. Just like that, you can see it's been installed. Now, there is no other indicator on this page that you've installed this template. Once it's installed, apart from this message, what you want to do is go to the Calculators tab, and you will see it right here. So if you were to install that same calculator multiple times, this would increment. So instead of V1, it would say V2, V3. And that's how you can differentiate all of the options in your application and relate them to a particular template that you've installed. You'll see under Options, each of the options that were installed as part of this are listed with that same name. And there's even an option that's already in our system that's not associated with this particular calculator. Clicking on the filter, we can look at the specific options that are tied to that calculator we just installed. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at this calculator that we installed by clicking on its name or clicking the Edit button. Notice that currently this calculator is associated with 0 products. Because it's associated with no products, that means you will not be able to find this on your store. It will not appear on any product pages. We have to associate it with a product before we'll be able to actually see it live in our store. Let's go ahead and do that. Here we are on the calculator page, and there's a number of sections which we'll just quickly review, and then we'll go through the things you need to do. First is the preview section. We don't see preview yet because we haven't actually associated this calculator with a product. Until we do that, we won't be able to see an actual preview. The calculator options, this is the listing of all the options that make up this particular calculator. You can modify where these are, changing the order, adding new options, as well as picking from any existing options in the application that are not part of this particular calculator yet. So this is the one I showed you that was not part of this calculator. I could indeed add it if I wanted. Scrolling down, we can see our calculator products. These are the products that this particular calculator has been associated with. These are the products that it will appear on. So you need to actually add a product before this calculator will show up on that product page. We can either select a product like this where we manually find products and select the ones that we want, or search through all of the products that are in our store. This will only show currently active products. Or we can select our products via a specific tag or a collection. You can only do one or the other. You can't do both of these, but in both cases, you can actually select multiple. So I could say I want to associate this calculator with all products that are in the home page and the on sale collection. If I change this to or, the product will need to be in either the homepage or the on sale collection. And if it is, this calculator will appear on its product page. Tags are done a little bit differently. What you're going to do here is enter the name of the specific tag, maybe sale, and then comma separate it with any other tags that you want, like so. The only sort of limitation here is you won't be able to add a tag that has a comma in it. So make sure you're not adding commas to your tags. Otherwise, you will not be able to define them here. Once you've selected particular products, they will appear in this list down here. Any products that are selected via the tags or collection will not appear in this list. Let's just quickly select one for ourselves. Okay, now that we've selected a product, notice we see our preview just like that. And changing elements over here will indeed update our preview. Finally, the general section. This is going to control things like the actual calculation that's used to figure out the price of the product and many of the look and feel of how the calculator should appear. Rules are used as a way to control when you want to hide or show specific options or specific option values. Let's go ahead and add a rule really quickly. So I'll go ahead here and I'll say when the curtain color is one of red, I want to hide the hanger type, save. That's all we have to do to make a rule work. Let's check it. So if we select red, sure enough, hanger type disappears. And unselecting red brings it back again. Our rules are working. Let's take a look at styles. Styles are a really easy way to change the look and feel of your calculator. Many of the styles are built in. That's what we see here. These are just standard styles that if you change will immediately update the calculator. No code is required. So if I want to enable the title, you'll see we now have a title at the top of our calculator. A couple other things that are worth noting. We can hide the calculator section. This is this entire part that shows our calculation. If we check that off, that whole calculator section will be hidden, and now it's gone. If you do something like that, you probably want to use instruction options to show the price rather than the regular default calculator section. We see lots of people do that. Another thing that's worth noting, including the quantity buttons. The quantity option has buttons to increment or decrement the quantity. You can hide those buttons, so instead it's just an input number. You could also disable the quantity option entirely, or you could even hide it from the page. That means you could have a quantity option that's hidden so people can't see it. That's really good if you're using a formula to set the quantity based on another option. So that would allow you to use a drop down for someone to select a quantity value without them actually setting it in the option itself. And then finally, we have some add to cart button styles, things like showing the add to cart button price. So if you notice up top in the preview, it showed the price on the add to cart button, and this allows you to turn that on or off. The very bottom, we have our advanced styling. This allows you to add your own custom CSS and your own custom JavaScript to the calculator. Custom CSS allows you to, for example, change the styling of a particular option that the settings above this that we've looked at so far don't actually control. Whenever you add an option, you can add or assign a class name to that option, and that class name can then be used in this custom CSS to therefore override and change the styles of a particular option. Custom JavaScript can be used for all sorts of different things, whether it's moving items around the page or options around the page, setting specific values, or all sorts of other advanced things that you can do. That takes us through everything from a style perspective. Let's just jump into the general tab one more time and look at a couple things. Notice that you can control the discount and whether or not you have a discount for the calculator. You can also control the pricing through a calculation. This template actually uses a custom calculation where it's referencing the light blocking option. If I come up to the top, there's an option called light blocking. That is referencing this. So whatever value is pulled from this particular option is what the price of the overall calculation will return. By default, when you first create a calculator from scratch, this is not going to have a calculation here, and in this checkbox will be checked. What this does for you is automatically sum the value that's returned for all of your options. So what it would do is add the price of contain color plus contain dimensions plus light blocking plus hanger type. Those values would get added together, and that would result in the final calculation price for your calculator. If you want to do something custom, you're going to need to uncheck automatically add option values, and then you can add your own calculation here. I recommend you use add to cart config, leave it as default, or when you're getting started, pop up. If you're trying to change this to things like cart DOM or Ajax drawer or spinner, you're going to find yourself, having to do some customizations that you're probably not ready for. So particularly when you're just getting started, stick with pop-up. There's no configuration needed there, and it will work out of the box. We have controls for setting your SKU and inventory locations. As you can see here, you can set a custom SKU, you can use a formula, and then you can also set which inventory location stock should come from, as well as if there's any shipping profiles that should be associated to the calculator. Pricing labels are some more built-in styles to allow you to add some text and names of various components. And then finally, you can have your own product weight calculation so that you can set a product weight based on the options a user has selected, and then therefore allow your checkout process to better price the shipping costs because you've actually accurately set the weight of the product that gets added to cart. Those are all the primary configurations that you need to know about for a calculator. The final thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and show you how to create a calculator from scratch. So what we'll do is we'll go to Create Calculator, and we'll go to From Scratch. And now we're going to create our own calculator from scratch. We'll give it a name. I'm going to go ahead and call this flooring. Now we need to assign some options to it. We can select from any of the options that already exist in the app. So these are all the ones we were just looking at. So I'm going to go ahead and add type. And then I'm going to add another option of my own. And in this case, I'm going to add a number option. And I'm going to call this the width. This is where someone can input the width of this particular product. Do I want to set an initial number so this starts at a particular value? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave this as is, and we'll go save. So now we've added that new option called width, and we're going to add it to our calculator by selecting it here. We still haven't seen a preview, and we want to see that. So let's go ahead and select a product, and we will select the big black shirt. And there it is. We can see our type, and we can see our width. Now notice the value that's getting set for the calculator is $10 plus the input value that we put here, 23. 10 plus 23 is 33. By default, automatically add option values is selected. Therefore, the calculator is adding the price of type plus the input value for width. So 10 plus 23. Really simple. If I change this to 100, you'll notice that the price now changes to 110. So we've configured our options, we've added some products, and we are looking at our calculator, the calculation. If we want to change it, we could uncheck automatically add option values, and we could add our own calculation here. Maybe what I want to actually do is take the type, multiply it by 1.3, and then add the length or the width that's set by the user. This is a fairly random calculation I just made up, but it's giving you an idea of what you can do. Let's come back up here, and we should notice that our calculation is not the same as it was before, and in fact, it's calculating as our calculation would suggest. That is it. We have created a calculator from a template, and we have created it from scratch. When I save it, you can see our flooring calculator has been added.